I've got some audio. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, loud and
Okay.
clear.
Terrific. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Nevada Air Service Development Commission meeting for October 20th, 2025. And at this point, I'd like to call the meeting to order and begin with a roll call here. My name is Reese Keener. Ken Moan, are you on? You're muted. And how about Scott Kickline? Okay. Christopher Abraham. Curtis Horton, looks like he's here.
I'm here.
Jane Moon.
Present.
Mark
I'm here,
Berg.
Reese, if you can hear me now.
Oh, yes, I can hear you.
Super.
Ken, thank you. All right, Mark Berg.
I'm here. Thank you.
Terrific. And I see we have Mr. Burns joining us, the GoEd Executive Director this afternoon. Welcome,
Yes, sir.
Tom. All right. We do have a quorum to conduct business. And at this point, I'd like to open the floor to any public comment. All right. Well, hearing none, we do have a new member on board. And Mark, if you would please just introduce yourself to the commission members, I'd appreciate it. You're muted. There you go.
Okay, thank you. I'm honored to be appointed, and so thank you for the opportunity. Mark Berg, I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority. I've been on board for about a year and a half in my role, and in the role, among other duties, I'm responsible for air service development for the Reno Tahoe Airport Authority. Prior to joining a year and a half ago, I retired from a 21-year career combined between Hawaiian Airlines and Alaska Airlines. So I relocated to Northern Nevada from Hawaii, and I'm honored to serve on this commission and look forward to working with each of you.
Terrific. Well, welcome again. All right. I'll take it from the top. Ken.
Yeah, Ken Moen. I'm the president of Nevada Aviation Association and been on the commission now. I think this is our second, year and a half, I think, since we were organized. Also, Reno Tahoe Airport Authority alum. Hi, Mark. Haven't met you yet. And then I'm also the senior director for aviation at LJA Engineering.
Terrific. All right. Curtis. Oh, you're muted.
There we go. I'm Curtis Horton. I'm with the Carson City Board of Supervisors and was appointed as the NACO representative to this committee.
Terrific. And Jane.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jane Moon. I am the Director of Tourism here in Fallon. Also, I was appointed as the Nevada Commission on Tourism representative. I am the Rural Commissioner for the Nevada Commission on Tourism. Welcome.
Great. All right. And let's see, Mark, we heard from you already, and I'll just introduce myself. My name is Reese Keener. I am mayor of Elko, and I'm the Nevada League of Cities liaison to this committee. And I've served as mayor for 7 years now. And 4 years before that, I was a city council member. I recently sold my business and retired from the private sector. As of August 1st, I was in the office equipment industry. And so now I have more time available to be involved with this, both the city and with the Flight Development Commission. So looking forward to continuing to serve on this board. All right. And Tom, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure.
To those
Yeah,
that might not know you?
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry if I haven't had the pleasure of meeting you. I'm Tom Burns. I'm the Director of the Governor's Office of Economic Development. I've been in this job not just short of 3 years, and Been in Nevada for the last 55 years. Raised my family here and have homes in both southern and northern Nevada. Was in private industry prior to this. So there you go.
Great. And then we have two other individuals on there. There's a Amy and a Guinevere. I'm not familiar with either of you, or are you just interested members of the public?
Hi, Reese. This is Amy Shogren with Black and Wadhams, and we have done work with Ken and the
Right.
Nevada Aviation Association. So I am an interested individual. So thank you so much for asking.
Sure. And then Guinevere.
Hi, I'm Guinevere Hobney. I'm the Assistant Chief of Multimodal Planning for the Department of Transportation, and I oversee our aviation department.
Well, terrific. We welcome your participation to both of you. And at this time, I'll move on to approval of minutes from April 25th, 2025. There's a video posted at the GoEd website, and just would like a motion to get that approved, unless there are any questions or comments on that.
Mr. Chair, before you move on to that motion, I just wanted to acknowledge it looked like Scott Kishner just joined us. So if you wanted to provide an intro as well.
Sure. Go ahead, sir. Are you on?
I am on. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Scott Kickline, Chief Revenue Officer at Harry Reid International Airport, Clark County Department of Aviation.
Terrific. Welcome, Scott. Thanks for joining. And I think that we've got everyone on there. Yeah, we've got the full board, correct, Nathan?
We do, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Great. And do I hear a motion for approval of minutes from the April 25th meeting?
I'll
So
make a
moved.
motion. Okay.
All right. We have a motion. I'm not sure who made it. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Scott seconded. Who was the motion maker, just for the
That was
record?
me, Reese, Curtis Horton.
Okay, thank you, Curtis. All right, motion and second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 And
And
point
I-
of order, Mr. Chair, is Christopher Abrams still on this board?
He is, yes.
But he is not on the call, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought he was on there. He might have joined and then jumped off, but not sure.
Got it.
Okay, let's see, we had a vote on, were there any abstentions on the vote of the minutes? All right, and I also vote aye for the approval of minutes. Motion passes on that. All right, item 5, commission objectives and continued role function. So here we are. We were anticipating getting some funding from the legislative session. That did not come through. And so the whole point of this commission is to be able to facilitate new air service development within the state. And so where do we go from here in light of the lack of funding? And I've had some discussions with Ken offline. We do feel like there are some things that we can do to promote the industry. And I just kind of want to throw it out there and hear from the rest of the board as to what their thoughts are on this. Ken, do you want to start?
Sure, I'll start. Well, one of the things that for the folks that, and primarily for Mark, perhaps his insight is there was a strategic plan that the Air Service Development Commission went through with the help of the University of Nevada, and it was approved last spring. And there were 4 objectives or goals that we identified in the strategic plan. And those organizational goals, one was to obtain funding for air service development in the amount of $10 million from the last legislative session. And then the other objective was to establish some criteria by which those grants would be administered, and then to work collaboratively with the session over the next few years to continue a source of funding, and to look at how we as a group can improve connectivity across the state. So ultimately, we fell short of that objective in the last session. I think anybody who paid attention to the last session realized that there was a shortfall at the beginning of the session, and pretty much a lot of bills that were looking for seeking funding, like what the commission was, did not receive that type of funding. And so, being that we kind of hinged our future on that type of funding and being able to award grants and help improve air service across the state, that's obviously going to be changed. And we have to take a step back and perhaps reevaluate the strategic plan and see what we can do between now and the next session to either identify sources of grant funding for this and or what other opportunities there are to identify funding. And, Mark, glad that you're here and can help lend some insight to this endeavor, as well as Scott from Harry Reid and Clark County Department of Aviation. But I think one thing that each of these airports and most airports in the country kind of operate independently. There might be some sort of regional air service commission where a group of industry and government get together and raise funds to help improve air service through minimum annual guarantees or marketing incentives, etc. I know that Mayor Keener in Elko has a similar body. I know there's one here in Northern Nevada. I'm sure there's one in Southern Nevada. But why a state level Air Service Development Commission? And I think primarily it's because we're operating independently and we're not speaking to one another. And aviation is a system. It's made up of a number of airports, although we operate independently in a lot of ways, whether it's air service development, maintenance and procurement and all those sort of patterns. And so one thing we try to do with the Nevada Aviation Association is to help bring some of that together, and took ownership of the system plan that was developed in cooperation with the Federal Aviation Administration and Nevada Department of Transportation of how to move those initiatives and objectives forward. And so in 2023, this Nevada Aviation Association worked together and put forth a bill that helped move this commission, which lived primarily on paper, from the Department of Tourism, and got it organized under GOED with the help of Director Burns. We couldn't have done that without it. And so in 2023, once that was moved, we reconstituted what the board looked like. It was primarily a tourism board, and we expanded that to look like a organization that represented different interests across the state. I think we've done a very good job of that as a board, and having interest in the two largest airports, connecting the smaller communities and other entities, whether it's tourism and resorts association, that all have skin in the game as far as the importance of aviation to the state. And just by way of factoid, aviation contributes over $40 billion annually to the state. And so I don't think there's anybody that's on this call today that doesn't realize the importance of aviation. And as an air service development group, I think it's helpful that we could create a program to help support connectivity across the state. And so I think as far as our strategic plan goes and reevaluating some of those goals and looking for areas of funding, I think this is a great opportunity for, our look back a year and see not only where we thought we were going, but where we might be changing direction over the next 500 days before the next legislative session. And so with that, Mayor Keener, I think I captured kind of a synopsis of the last several months as a group, and then kind of reset the foundation for what we want to do going forward. And I'd love to hear from the other commissioners, some of their thoughts, looking back, looking forward, and where we might go from here.
Yeah, great comments, Ken. I think that the Nevada Aviation Association has been successful in breaking down some of the silos and having more cooperation between the various different players. And I think that we need to continue to do things like that. And maybe this commission could even look at some of the other states that are very successful, states like Wyoming, the Wyoming plan that they have for aviation, and what can we learn from that we might be able to apply within the state of Nevada.
Mr. Chair, would you mind if I interjected before you moved on to other commissioner comments specific to this item?
Sure.
And mainly just because Commissioner Berg is new, and me and him had a conversation prior to us meeting today. But I also just wanted to reiterate one of the attachments for this item 5 includes some of the statutory roles and functions specific to NRS 231-600. Also covered what Commissioner Moen had made reference to as the strategic plan, objectives, and goals. And then also kind of talked about the securing funding, establishing grant criteria, the legislative reporting, and also the support of GOED operations. And it kind of summarizes. So as you're getting feedback from other commissioners of how we're going to move forward, I just wanted to throw out there the respective goals that are referenced within the strategic plan, but more than anything is to just reiterate what our statutory roles specific to the Air Service Development Commission are for NRS. So I just wanted to refer everybody to that attachment 5. So
Okay, thank you.
Can you put that in the chat, Nathan? Is that possible?
I sure can. Give me a minute and I'll do that right now.
All right. Any other thoughts from other commissioners? Let's just hold off until Nathan gets that posted.
Mr. Chair, for some reason it's not letting me add it to the chat box, but I did send it by a separate email. I'll try to send everyone the email separately right now to include that attachment. But it's the supplemental materials that were included with the agenda itself.
Nathan, is that the document that starts with item 5?
It is.
Okay. Yes, it was in your prior email.
Correct. Typically, it allows me to upload documents or just into the chat, but for some reason it's not letting me right now.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that yet, Nathan. Did anyone else get it?
I did not. That's why I'm looking through my email right now and I'm not seeing it.
I received it in the October 6th email from Nathan.
If it pleases you, Mr. Chair, I'll just go ahead and share my screen so we have.
Sure, let's do that.
In my spam folder.
I'm sorry, everybody. I'm having issues with Teams right now. It's not even letting me share the document.
Maybe you could just bump up that last email to everybody.
There's something on the screen now.
Yeah, I see it now.
Do you see it now?
Oh, sorry. I just put it up. I have it up on my screen.
So the big one I see jumping out is the reporting requirements. So an annual report would be due in February of this 2026. Because I think we had one from February 2024 that's already been was already published.
Mm-hmm. So Nathan, did you have concerns about that you thought we perhaps might be getting beyond the established objectives of the commission by looking at other things?
Not necessarily. I just wanted to reiterate the statutory requirements per NRS. So I wanted to make sure that we adhere to NRS respectively. But Commissioner Mullen had made reference to the strategic plan goals, so I thought it was beneficial the other commissioners can see those 4 specific goals he was referring to that comes out of the strategic plan. There you go, okay.
Yeah.
Our other statutory requirements are really focused around the securing of funding, the establishing of grant criteria, and the continued support of GOED for this body. And so outside of those 4 requirements, then everything else would kind of flow back towards our strategic plan about how to meet those, but also what our steps would be going forward.
That'd be correct.
All right, we've heard from Ken. Anyone else that would like to just express their opinions on where we're at and where we should go in light of the conundrum that we're in without funding? All right, well, it doesn't sound like there's too much more a discussion on this item. Does anyone take exception with anything that's been mentioned thus far by either myself or Ken? All right, then. I guess that we can go ahead and move on to agenda item number 6, officers' roles and duties. And Nathan, this is your item.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Looks like it's allowing me to share my screen now, which is helpful because I had everything I was going to refer to. This is more just kind of an intro. As you know, the first meeting of every fiscal year, we have to appoint per NRS a new chair, vice chair, and secretary, or reappoint a chair, vice chair, and secretary. So just for the benefit of the current commissioners and also incoming commissioners, these are the 30 statutory required positions and a description of each for the chair, vice chair, and secretary, and then just some general language specific for those 3 roles. That's all I needed to lead you into item 7, and that's specific to the actual annual elections of the chair, vice chair, and secretary.
Okay, thank you. And we do have a vacancy in the vice chair position, as Tina Iftiger has retired, and that's how Mark Berg came to us. And then as far as the chair goes, I told Ken that he would be the ideal person to chair, but he wasn't too interested in that. I'd be pleased to continue in that role if the board would continue to have me. So is there anyone else that would like to chair this commission?
I think the group is well served by the leadership of the chair and the mayor. And so this is Tom Burns, and I would move to renominate the current chair.
Second.
All right.
And Mr. Mayor, just a comment. I concur that you're the ideal person to lead this in your role, both as mayor of the city of Elko and the role that you've played so far in this commission. I'm happy to support you in whatever you need to continue to move that, help move this body forward.
Mr. Chair,
right, well,
we have a raised hand by Commissioner Horton.
Oh, yes. Curtis.
I just wanted to second that. I think you're the perfect person to chair this committee. And if we're there, I'd like to make another nomination.
Okay, let's hold off. And we had a motion for the chair, and I think we had a second, did we?
Yes.
If not, I'll second it.
Okay, and then all in favor of myself serving as chair for another year, all in favor say aye.
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 Any nays? And I also vote aye. All right, thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it, and I'll endeavor to do my best to help move things forward with this commission. Vice Chair, do we have any nominations for Vice Chair? I mentioned Ken earlier because he is just so dialed in all around, including on the legislative side. And I think the two of us work very well together. Ken, would you be willing to serve as Vice Chair?
If nominated, Mayor Keener, yes, I would be a pleasure to serve as your vice chair and support you and this committee.
Is there anyone, are there any nominations for, other than Mr. Moan, for Vice Chairman?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Scott Kitchline for vice chair as well.
Okay. We have, and then Mr. Kickline, would you, do you concur with that?
If I'm nominated, I would accept, but I'll be honest, I think Ken is probably in the best position at this point. And, given that really our focus is going to be, seeking funding, he's really got his fingers kind of on the pulse of that and has been leading that charge, including having meetings with, I know, our department here. So I would certainly welcome him as vice chair as well.
Okay, we have two nominees for vice chair then. Is there anyone else? All right, so we have two there. All in favor, Mr. Moen's name was mentioned first, so all in favor of Ken Moen as vice chair, say aye.
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 And I also vote aye, and I think that's a majority of the commission. Did you get a count on that, Nathan?
Mr. Chair, I did. Director Burns, would you think it would be appropriate, since we did have a second nomination, to run through the vote on that anyway, or since we have the majority for Commissioner Moen, to leave it as is?
Well, I think we should state that how many available votes there were and how many votes he received, and I think from there we can draw that conclusion.
Yeah, we had 6 with Commissioner or Christopher not here today.
And how many voted for Mr. Moen?
That was the 6, including the chair.
Okay, and how many are present?
6. So I think we're good there.
Yep.
All right, congratulations, Ken.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to secretary. We can all see the responsibilities there. As far as the minutes go, very minimal responsibility there. I guess, Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong, that would just pretty much ensure that the the video gets posted to the website. Is that correct?
It is, but there's a process that we do on GoEd's side, so it's automatically uploaded to the agenda portion of GoEd. So it's always going to be put up there. So there's not really a need per se for the secretary to make sure that happens, because I do it for you.
Okay.
But if the secretary would like to keep a separate record of those minutes after I upload it, because I will send it to the whole commission, the minutes and the video and stuff from today's meeting. It's really up to the secretary how they want to assume that role.
Okay. Right. Well, is there any member of the board that would like to self-nominate or nominate someone else?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Mark Berg for secretary.
Okay, Mr. Berg, do you accept?
Thank you for the nomination, and Mayor Keener, I would accept if so nominated.
Okay. Is there anyone else, or can I close nominations? Is there a motion to close nominations?
Move to close the nominations.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of Ken Berg as secretary,
Mark
signify by, excuse me, Mark Berg, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All right, has everyone voted? Congratulations, Mark. It looks like you are our new secretary, so look forward to serving with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on then to strategic plan updates and corrections. Nathan.
Give me just a second, Mr. Chair, so I can get down to that respective page. Can everybody see my page on screen?
Yes.
Okay. This is more just a cleanup exercise. Commissioner Moen kind of gave a legislative update, the funding that we didn't receive the strategic plan had references to what we were seeking from the 2025 legislation. I did send this to everybody for review. If you'd like, I can do one of two things. We could go through each of those comments that cleans up portions of that strategic plan so it's updated on our end. Or if the majority of commissioners already reviewed it and are okay with the changes, we can just move right into the next item. I'll leave it up to you how you'd like me to proceed.
Nathan, I have to apologize. I did not see any of the supporting documentation. I grabbed the agenda off the website, and yeah, I didn't see anything supporting on that. So I am flying blind on this.
So let's go ahead and if you look at page 21, it's under section 2.3. It's just a reference. The current language makes reference to legislative sessions could evaluate and adopt increases. I suggested that we just added including aviation fuel tax adjustments as potential funding measures for the Nevada Air Service Development Fund, just providing examples that we can throw in there to seek funding in the future.
Yeah, I would definitely be amenable to that.
And then I'll just go ahead and we'll just go through all of them, and then we can make a motion, a second, and then we can vote. And if there's any changes, I can plug in the comments.
Okay.
And then obviously when I make the corrections, I'll send everybody an updated copy.
Okay.
On page 22, I just put the language to add the lack of funding from the legislature for the Nevada Air Service Development Fund continues to represent the greatest threat to the commission's statutory purpose. Previously, it made reference to the 2025 session, so obviously it wasn't it wasn't factual anymore. And instead of changing it to the 2027 session, I just made it more broad as far as that being an ongoing problem.
Nathan, this is Jane Moon. If you could please refer to the page of the strategic plan as well, because mine is only showing up the pages of the plan. Thank you.
So it's going to be page 11 of 23 of the strategic plan itself, under section 2.4.
Perfect. Thank you.
Is everybody okay with that language, and I can move on to the next item? Or
Yes, sir.
portion? Okay. And then this one here is on page 24, just under section 3.0, and I'm sharing it on my screen here. Again, just cleaning it up. Obviously, the 2025 Nevada legislative session is no longer applicable, so I just strike that section out.
Okay.
And then what I had recommended here is we could provide this language taking place of the stricken out portion to indicate something pursuing biannual allocations in successive sessions remains essential. The commission must also pursue funding sources beyond legislative pathways by engaging industry firms and similar aligned associations. I thought that kind of plugged everything that we had made reference to being a future goal.
Right.
Then here, same thing, replace this striked out section with in each biannual Nevada legislative session, the Nevada Air Service Development Commission must actively pursue all available pathways to secure legislative support for air service development in Nevada.
Okay.
And then under section 5.3, this section here, replacing it with over the next 5 years, the Nevada Air Service Development Commission will pursue and work to secure sustainable funding sources for the Nevada Air Service Development Fund and demonstrate success through expanded Nevada Air Service leveraging grant-funded initiatives. So,
Good.
and then this section here on the same page, just under goal number 1 of section 5.4, replacing this section again, it references the 2025 session, and just replacing it with the Nevada Air Service Development Commission will work to secure appropriations during legislative sessions and/or alternative funding sources for the Nevada Air Service Development Fund.
Good.
And this one here, it's just a general note. This goal remains contingent on the fund being capitalized in future sessions or through alternative funding sources. So it's just a general comment I provided in there. Under goal number 3, replace that striked out section with the Nevada Air Service Development Commission will establish criteria and the cadence for reporting to the Nevada legislature beginning in 2026 and continuing through the next 5 years. Again, just taking out a specific date for a session. And then lastly, again, just I put a comment in there that it's contingent upon commission resources and funding availability. So again, it's just cleaning up past references to 2025. I didn't feel comfortable making reference to 2027 session, so I just made everything more general in language. And that's all I have for the cleanup items.
Okay, good. And then the only other thing that I noticed was on the, well, that's just the acknowledgements, I guess. And it had the commission members named, and I don't know if it's, should we put the new commission member on there?
We can do one or two things. What I'd recommend is we just provide an addendum. So we wouldn't have to necessarily change the acknowledgement. We can if you'd like. If you want to just update the whole document, and then we can make reference to the new commissioner or the addendum, which I think is the easier path to go.
Yeah, I agree. I think an addendum would be better than the titles could be listed as well.
Correct. I can do that.
And it might be nice too to say which organization they're representing as well, that the various different commissioners.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
All right. Any input for Nathan on the proposed changes? All right. I like what I saw. Is there a motion?
Yeah, Commissioner Keener, this is Ken Moen. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the changes to the strategic plan to bring it up to date.
All right. There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Any nays? And I also vote aye for approval. All right. Agenda item number 9, identify and secure external funding and grant opportunities. So, yeah, this is something that Ken and I talked a little bit about, and you know, we've got the U.S. Department of Transportation. There were a couple of other things that were thrown out there too. For instance, Nevada Resorts Association, Nevada Tourism Association. I did reach out to a commissioner that serves on tourism, and this would be on the purview of their grant funding, as I expected it would be, but you never know until you ask, right? So I just wanted to put that out there and find out, you know, if there's anywhere else that we might be able to look. Maybe Tom might have some ideas. Maybe Mark or Scott might have some insight into other sources.
I don't, does USDA have funding along this method? I don't know the answer to that, but
I don't know either, Tom. I will have to investigate that.
they do provide rural funding for some things. I just am not fully
Yeah.
conversant in all the things that they'll entertain.
Yeah, the city of Elko has been the beneficiary of a DOT grant, and that's what's enabled us to have the second flight, daily flight into Elko, and it just helps us with the minimum rate guarantee, and it's a 2-year plan with the idea being that the route will be able to stand on its own 2 feet after that period of time.
I'd like to just throw out a general question, if I could, to both Scott and Mark, from their perspective, in assisting with or helping oversee air service development at those 2 airports, Las Vegas and Reno. How do you see that this group could best assist in developing air service as a improvement, enhancement for the state itself, not necessarily individual airports, or regions of the state? I'd like to hear your guys' thoughts.
You know, I guess I would have to look at the FAA rules on ASIPs for domestic travel. Mark may be more familiar with those than I am. I know our current program is really focused on international air service development and subsidizing or rate rebates for new international routes, but there's really nothing in there about domestic or anything close by. I don't know, Mark, if you guys have anything for more domestic routes.
I'm going to look into this and get back to the group, but just generally speaking, I like the idea of, we look at Northern Nevada from a broader catchment area and just understanding the needs of a region. But let me look into the ASIP specifically related to funding for this commission, and then I'll report back.
Great, thank you. Nathan, if we could have this on the next meeting as an agenda item for some continued conversation on this, I think that'd be great. And then if any members can bring something forward to present, that'd be all the better for the next meeting.
Will do, Chair.
All right. All right, if there's nothing further on that, does anyone have any final comments on item number 9? Let's move on. Oh, go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, Chair Keener, one of my thoughts, that we need to do over the next 500 days is to kind of, if we flesh out what these other grant opportunities might be available that might able to help us at Air Service Development Program through this commission or between now and the next session would be great. I think we also need to focus on what that plan might look like going into the legislative session. Because if we're going to develop something, a straight appropriation does not seem to be the best approach to fund this commission and these grants. And looking at them, you mentioned the state of Wyoming. Wyoming has a very robust air service program that they have air service to 9 cities in the state, right? Wyoming's population is like around 500,000 people. And so they're serving 9 communities across the state with commercial air service. Now they generally go, you can't necessarily go from Jackson to Casper, Wyoming, but you can go from Casper or Jackson to Denver or Salt Lake, and then on to those other destinations. I think it does two things for those airports. One, it gets them in the code share, which allows for greater opportunity for passengers that might not have even been aware that you can get to the Ruby Mountains through Elko or
Mhm.
to Wheeler State Park through Las Vegas or Ely or other opportunities like that. And I think that it's going to need to be some sort of sustainable funding method. And I'm reticent to propose a method because I don't want to limit the thought on that. But I'll give the example that Wyoming uses some sort of fuel tax funding mechanism. And of course, in a state like Wyoming, a lot of that is generated from one airport, and that being Jackson, because of its large tourist base. But I also think that there are some opportunities through, I think they use mineral and natural resource sort of funding mechanism. They need air service to support their industry, whether it's gas and oil or mining across the state. And so they've worked with those companies that are active in those industries to help create some sort of reoccurring funding mechanism. And I think that we have time to figure that some of those opportunities out between now and the next session, so that when we get to that point and we find a bill sponsor and we have an opportunity to propose something outside of a straight competition with the general fund, I think we're going to have more success than we did this last session.
Mhm. Right.
Yeah, I think depending on where we are as a state, you might be able to get seed money coming out, right, to stand something up. But I would agree that long-term, you're going to need a plan that doesn't rely on the general fund. I think that's a tough ask on a regular basis.
Yeah, good point. From someone that would know. All right. Anyone else on that? All right, let's move on to annual report. Nathan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this item as well will be pretty short and sweet. Some of you may or may not be aware of the annual report that's required by February of each year, February 1st of each year. So we're roughly 4 months away. Some of the requirements that need to be included within that annual report is obviously reference to the NRS section, the introduction, the grant applications received, grants awarded. Obviously, a number of those things aren't applicable to where we're at today, but also includes any fund status as we move forward, if there's any funds, where we're at, some of the economic strategic benefits, the future outlook, et cetera, et cetera. It sounds like some of you didn't get the agenda packet, or maybe it was in your spam folder, but what we've done in the past is GoEd prepared that annual letter and sent it up to where it needed to be reviewed. So what I'm thinking, unless there's anything specific you would like to have included within the annual letter, and then I would send it or present it to everybody at our next quarterly meeting. So it would take place before this letter would be due. I can include any comments you would like in that letter, and then GoEd could prepare it, send it back to you for review, and then we can get it signed by Director Burns and let it work its way up. So I will send another copy to everybody so you have it as reference, but it kind of talks about what occurred back in 2024. So if you like, I can scroll through this, or you can refer to it on your own time. I think just in the essence of time, Chair, is prepare that. If there's anything you would like to have included, or other commissioners would like to have included, we can have that discussion now, and then I can incorporate it appropriately.
Yeah, just the general comment that it's difficult for us to be able to fulfill the duties of the commission without the legislative funding that was necessary. I don't know how we say that politely without offending anybody, or even if it'll even be read. But yeah, there's just more of a housekeeping item for us. I
Mayor
don't.
Keener,
Yes.
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Ken.
I'm sorry, I didn't, hope I didn't walk over somebody. I was going to state that I think it would be appropriate to identify the piece of legislation that asks for the funding, and then the status of that, I think would be appropriate, without offense. I think it was AB 100 that asked for the $10 million and that it never left committee. And I think that's appropriate to state, because it does lead into the next part that, hey, how do we get this thing started? So going forward, I think that would be an appropriate way to identify that.
Yeah, I concur.
I think it would be appropriate also to identify the strategic plan that was accomplished during this year, because that's a milestone for a group that wasn't funded to get appointed and take action and create a strategic plan. I think that gives some credibility to the commission and the mandate that we have under the NRS to, get this moving in the right direction. And I think that would bode well for a future request.
That's another
I
great point,
completely agree
Ken.
with that.
Yeah. Yeah, because we all spent a lot of time working on that. So especially Nathan. Thank you, Nathan.
Absolutely.
So I think that absolutely needs to be highlighted. That, hey, even though we're not funded, we're still moving forward, to accomplish the mission.
And on that note, I would like to take the opportunity to thank both Director Burns and Nathan for the care and feeding of this group over the past year and a half. I mean, I know that's something that you took on, Tom, to help us get this thing rolling. I really appreciate that, and I know that there's better served perhaps somewhere else, but it wouldn't have happened without you. And I think that is definitely worthy of thanks and recognition.
Well, I appreciate the compliment, but I think the kindest thing I did for you is to make sure Nate was taking care of you every day. So sometimes it's putting your best man in the game is the best thing I can do. So I appreciate Nate's work on this.
That's recognized and very much appreciated.
And Mr. Chair, obviously you can see his reference on the screen. It makes reference to previous commissioners. So when I do an update or a draft letter to be reviewed by everybody, and to include those items that we discussed as far as reference to AB 100 or NRS statutes, I'll also update everybody's title, their organization, so on and so forth. So everything will be updated on my end before I kick it over to you for review.
Great, perfect. Thank you. All right, we don't need a motion on any of that, do we?
We don't. I'm just going to go back to all the previous agendas and action items, and I'll update it appropriately and then cover those 4 points that you and the commissioners asked me to incorporate.
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll move on to agenda item number 12, SkyWest program in Elko, Nevada. And I had invited our airport director to join the meeting, and I don't know if there's an emergency or what's going on, but Jim Foster is not able to join us, and I wanted him to speak to the special charter designation that SkyWest and several other carriers were working on. I don't know all the details of it, just kind of highlights. It allows charter operation for up to 30 seats. Ken, you probably know something about this, don't you? This charter designation.
Yeah, it's an updated rule under Part 380 of the DOT reg that allows a reduced crew criteria. SkyWest, I think the regulation allows for the right seat, the first officer. Currently, the FAA requirement on Part 121, which is the regulation for scheduled commercial air service, to have 2 pilots rated as air transport ratings. And it allows under this charter operation to have, I think, 1 pilot with the ATP has to have the ATP rating, which would generally be the left seat, the captain, and that the second the first officer, the second crew member does not have to have an ATP rating and can have less hours. ATP rating requires 1,500 hours of flight time. I don't remember if it's 750 hours now it's been reduced to, but what SkyWest has gone through the last 2 years to get this designation for charter and scheduled charter, but they've told the FAA that they will not have crew members less than ATP rating. But it's now in the regulation that they're allowed to do that. So what happens in the future with that is another matter. They may reapply at a different time, or a different charter operator may ask for a certain latitude in that regulation as well. And one of the things it does for the industry, as you all probably heard over time, is that there's been a shortage with retiring boomers that are timing out of this of the profession. There's a mandatory retirement age for pilots at age 65, and so bringing in new pilots into the industry. Most of the schools that train pilots, you get them to their IFR multi-engine commercial rating with like 250 hours, and then that's kind of the end of their journey is with the school, but then they have to go out and get the remaining 1,250 hours and pass an air transport pilot rating elsewhere. And so, that's very difficult to do. A lot of times people go the avenue where they're flight instructors for a long time, but that's not necessarily the best type of flying. You might be doing a lot of multiple touch and go type operations or short cross country operations, but not really germane to what a commercial airline pilot might do and experience they might gather. So in one manner, it's perfunctory, if I can say that properly, where they actually are just counting time as opposed to getting real beneficial experience. So this ruling would facilitate, getting good flight experience, facilitating building time, and help bolster the industry. And so I think this is a good development for the commercial travel industry, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I know that SkyWest is aggressive and trying to help serve these communities, and they felt that was a way to facilitate that. So they work really closely with the FAA to get these changes to the regulation. And, Congress has heard the call too from communities and industry about the need to facilitate pilot training.
Right. And in the case of SkyWest, they've got more planes than they have pilots. And so they have a fleet of aircraft available. I think it's the CRJ 900s that they were going to be retrofitting, essentially removing a lot of the seats to comply with this new designation. Ken, do they have to go through TSA for this, or can?
Well, it depends how they operate, Reese. If you're going from, I don't want to name anybody by name, but if you're a charter operator and you're operating out of a fixed based operator on an airport and you're not going through the secure side of the airport
Mhm.
per se, then there's not screening required. So if you're going from like, let's say Reno, using the fixed base operator to Henderson using the fixed base operator, there would be no requirement for screening. Actually, I think you could go into Harry Reid through the fixed base operator there too. And
Yep.
then if those passengers boarded a regular scheduled airline, they would end up going through screening at that point.
Yeah, this is
Right.
exactly how JSX operates here.
Right.
Just they and in many markets across the country, and because they're limited to under 30 passengers, and I think it's I can't remember the weight of the aircraft. There's a weight limitation on the aircraft as well. They're doing some minor screening on their own, but there's no TSA screening.
Yeah, and other charter operators do similar things like those that carry sport franchises, et cetera. They primarily operate out of the fixed base operator. And so that does lower the bar and the cost of some of those operations. But they don't escape the passenger facility charges and other airport use charges per se by doing that. But it does lower the requirements and criteria for operating on the secure side of the airport.
Right. And I think what the important thing is what it does, it's just another tool, and it opens up a lot of options for, say, when you mentioned Ely before, or Fallon, or
Yeah, smaller markets,
Car-
correct.
yeah, Carson City to let's say the airport in North Las Vegas. We used to have the same type of charter service available between Elko and North Las Vegas Airport, and it worked out really good until Scenics grant money ran out. But something to have on our radar. And if there's any further information about that at our next meeting, I'll invite Jim to present on that and entertain some questions on it as well. And maybe we'll have some more visibility in terms of potential deployments that SkyWest is using this at in other communities as well. All right. Public comment, agenda item number 13. Is there any public comment at this time? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn. Thanks, everyone. Again, Nathan, a big shout out to you just for keeping the wheels rolling on this and keeping up with the agendas and communicating with the commission as well. Thank you very much.
Before you adjourn,
Hey, everybody.
on that last item, you made reference to Jim Foster for SkyWest. You want that item moved to, I'm looking the first or the second week of January, having our next meeting.
Okay.
Let me include that as an agenda item at that time.
Yeah. Why don't you do that, please?
Okay.
And then I'm gonna still be on vacation the first week of January. Hopefully everyone else will be back second full week of January.
All right.
That sounds better.
Yeah, I'll send out a doodle survey, kind of like I did last time. I think that worked well, getting a better idea.
Super.
Perfect. Thanks very much. All right. Thank you for your rapt attention, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk again soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you.
Bye.